All right, so I'm Maddie Martin. I'm the head of growth and education for Smith.ai, and I am going to walk through our chat technology today, everything from the styling functionality to how the chat sequences conversations in a programmatic way, and cool customizations that you can set up for custom hours, capturing UTM parameters and other tracking to discern the ROI from chat conversations. I'll also talk a little bit around what channels are available to put chat on, specifically beyond your website, text messaging, and Facebook Messenger. So let's get into it. I'm going to share my screen and I'll show you some of the really cool features that we are enabling for users every day. So I'm just on the Smith.ai website right now, and you'll see the chat widget right here. It can be a little icon. It will show up as the welcome message with faces next to it if you have live chat. If not, just the AI chatbot will show this icon logo right here. Now, this is obviously the Smith website. If you have other business names for other websites, then that's what would appear here. Just because it's the chat technology from Smith.ai doesn't mean that we put that information on your own website. You will find that Powered by Smith.ai is on the bottom of almost all of our chatbots. So for partners, that's something that we are open to discussing, white labeling and rebranding that so that it appears the way that you want it to on your client sites or your users. So the really cool thing about chat to begin with is that the widget that you see here is not only available for any website, but it can also be put onto course creation sites like Kajabi, and it also powers technology that facilitates conversations from text message and then via Facebook Messenger as well. So it's really flexible, and when you set up instructions, they can be applied to those most important communication channels that leads and clients are being used to reaching out to you on. So one of the interesting things about Smith.ai chat, not from a technological standpoint, but just from a business function standpoint, we capture name and email here. Optionally, phone number is also a field that can be added if you want to capture that information up front. Might be a friction point. We ask for name and email, but it's something that is useful to get back in touch with that person who is chatting in. If, for example, there is an internet failure, if they get distracted, if they get called away for work or for childcare, the pet needs to go out, whatever the case may be. It's critical that we capture information here, because if we don't capture this information, this name and email, optionally phone number, before the chat begins, you could have an entire chat, a really meaningful conversation, and never ask for that contact information. So this ensures that you can always get back in touch with or attempt to reach back out to that lead. So what we're going to go through is some of the features that are available. We'll talk about placements and widgets first, and then some of the more advanced technology. If I do get into a chat, then obviously someone's going to respond to me. I won't bother them right now. So let's go into the actual styling of the widget. Now, I'm in Smith.ai's account, so I'm not going to touch or tweak anything. This is extremely advanced. So there is optionally a disclaimer that's available for potentially, legal clients, financial advisors, IT. Honestly, we have a sort of canned example here, which is totally customizable. But we find that especially with our legal clients, anyone who's working on things that could be messed up by someone who thinks they're getting advice from a professional and tries to DIY. You can imagine someone who's on an IT website, they're getting computer repair advice. Those clients of ours want to tell their website visitors or people who are, potentially engaging in a Facebook message on their business page, look, if you take the advice on this site, we don't make any claims that you're going to fix your computer, right? So things like that are important, but primarily for the legal market, law firms need to state that they're not establishing an attorney-client relationship, that the conversation doesn't constitute legal advice. You might even have a car repair shop that says, look, it doesn't constitute, car advice and it's not covered by our warranty, for example. If we go into the greeting, that's actually governed by the Playbook, which I will cover later. There is an install script and directions for the most popular websites, and that allows the chat widget to function on your pages. One or more, and we can talk about that later, where the placement actually will occur and during what hours. Now there is a widget color that you will see, evident on the Smith.ai website. We can see that it's very dark, and that dark color is represented here with that widget color. Now the logo has been uploaded. The name is Smith.ai Chat. We saw that as well. There can be an introduction, which actually shows up quite large underneath the initial greeting. It might say, hi, we're a 24/7 virtual receptionist service. We work with small businesses. How can we help you? Elaborate a little bit more than just that initial greeting that we have here that says, hi, welcome to Smith.ai. What can we help you with today? It's possible that you want there to be a little bit more information, and especially for specialized businesses, again, like law firms, you might want to say, this is a criminal defense firm, so you don't have chats that engage that are about divorce. You can imagine that if it's an IT firm that only works with commercial accounts and not residential computer help, they're going to want to state that up front. So anything that's really important to protect the value of the conversation, that's something you consider in the intro, just 120 characters, so it's not super long. Now, there are a number of options here. You can display the different number of faces that show up next to the chat. You can change the button and the placement along the side of the page, or you can expose chat as a word that appears in that bubble, or you can have the very low profile round circle with the chat icon. Now, if we go into some of the more advanced technology here, what's really interesting is that there is an entire knowledge base that is built within the chat that is unlimited for live chat accounts. It can be unlimited for a small fee for AI chatbot accounts. And what this allows us to do, the business to do, and frankly, Smith.ai, as we can see here, I'm still in our account, there are a lot of questions and similar phrasing of the same question that you want to have quick answers for our live chat agents to always respond accurately, efficiently, quickly, and understanding what questions have similar intent. So for example, if we have the question and I just clicked on, do you serve the Canadian market? Do you service the Canadian market? Does Smith.ai answer calls for Canada? Is there support for Canadian businesses? You can imagine the number of question variations that come through here. These are just a few of the most common ways it's phrased. If someone phrases it that way, then we have this one single answer. And this can actually be connected to a playbook. And we also have an option to review chats that weren't automatically answered to see if you do want to install answers for those to improve the learning over time. Now, these can be programmed and there can be any number of variations. You'll see for some, there's only one, and for others, there's 13 different questions here, right? Now, the number of times that answer is used is represented in this column. So we're starting to see that there is data here of the usage. It's not just Q&A, but it's also how valuable is this Q&A. If we look then to the actual conversation, and this is just a test, we'll be sharing any private information here in this video. This is a test from, about a couple weeks ago, and we can see that there's quite a lot of information that comes through regarding the disposition, the channel, was it web, text, or Facebook, the company, the URL actually that the chat occurred on, and the phone number and email of the chatter, we can see that a new conversation has started with the timestamp. The playbook, which I'll show you in a moment, is triggered at a certain time. The bot responds, and we can see with this little bot icon that it is a bot, and that's the playbook. And then we have a response that is here from Chelsea, and she's doing her own test. And we can see, okay, I have this answer here. She interrupted the playbook, meaning that the live chat agent actually wanted to step in from the automation that I'll show you and begin the live chat, staffing it herself, and then she closed it because it was just a test conversation. So if we actually go into Playbooks, this is the really, really powerful back end of the sequence conversations for chat. So there are a couple things that I will show you just in this brief video. Basically, playbooks can be triggered in a number of ways. They can be triggered at the start of a conversation, basically initiating the conversation. They can be triggered by a matching Q&A. So for example, if I was to ask as the chatter, do you handle calls for businesses in Canada, like the example that I just showed, then maybe once that answer is delivered, then the playbook is triggered to follow a sequence of questions that tries to determine if that is a business chatting in who's interested in hiring Smith.ai for virtual receptionist services. Because yes, we do handle calls for Canadian businesses. So as a result, that would be, an indication of a potential new client for Smith.ai, and we would want to match that Q&A to that, match the playbook to the Q&A. Now, it could also be manual. So we do give the live chat agents the option to trigger a playbook based on what they perceive happening in the conversation and any intent that they pick up on. So maybe there is a lead qualifying and scheduling playbook, and it walks through the sequence of, determining if the lead is a good fit, and then scheduling an appointment for a sales consultation after that. During the course of a conversation, if the playbook is set to manual only, it will only trigger if the live chat agent prompts that to happen. So that's a very useful tool. You could have multiple playbooks and you could set them to trigger at different times. You can also have the first message proactively sent to visitors if you want to initiate the conversation. You can also trigger the playbook based on a time delay. So it could be immediate. It could be 15 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, or up to 5 minutes. And then when you go into the playbook designer itself, what's really interesting is the number of different fields that we have here for free text or options that actually sequence the conversation. So if I select an option here, it might actually have me skip down to a section that's now only relevant for me. Now, in this particular example, we have some, a playbook that's basically set up to have a callback successfully received by the chatter. They are on the website. We say, hi, thanks for visiting. What can I do to help? There's an open text field. It's required to answer. And then, basically an away message that doesn't lose the lead to say, our team will get back to you. Maybe it's a tricky question. Someone wants to partner with Smith.ai. The live chat agent needs to allow someone else to vet that for follow-up by the partnerships team. So the chatter may select, please call, or I'd prefer an email first. Those are the available options. And then if they select, please call, you could say, well, all right, then we're going to need a phone number. And you'll see that this is linked to phone. And as the sort of input field, it needs to be formatted as a phone number. Is there a better time to reach you? If we're going to be making a phone call, that's critical information. You can imagine the many ways that this could be set up so that it sequences the conversation in a logical manner. And actually the live chat agent, if they're there and it's not just completely AI driven, can monitor the conversation and make sure that, it doesn't get stalled. If someone doesn't like one of the options, well, what happens then? They can jump in, and show a little human intelligence to say, you know, what do I need to do to get this conversation to move forward if I do want it to? And then there's a confirmation at the end. So not everything is a question here. There can be confirmations and statements to assure, reaffirm, close out the conversation. You can add more steps, and you could go back and forth between a live agent handling the conversation based on known information on that account, which I won't go through in this call, but basically we have a trove of information that we use to handle the conversations outside of the programmatic settings here. Now, what's interesting is we have, and this is very funny, it's called the masterpiece. We have a playbook funnel. So when we talk about, you know, the technology behind Smith.ai chat, there's a lot of integrations, there's a lot of customization that's available. We have multiple channels, but what it really comes down to is how effective are these conversations that are being had, and specifically within these playbooks, you know, do I have things in the right order? Am I setting up the conversation in a way that achieves my goals as best as possible? So we can look at, for Smith.ai, you know, some of the first questions that come through are going to be from us to the chatter on our website, such as, I'm interested in your services. I'm interested in a receptionist job with your company. I'm already using your services, or I need help with something else. So it depends on what they click here, what their path is forward. And then, so this is a great way to sort of QA and evaluate, does your conversation flow? But more than that, it actually tells you as a percentage your conversion rate from step to step. So within the step itself, how many people are selecting it, and then you can get a pretty good idea of how effective the funnel is and where that interest lies. So we've got virtual phone receptionist, we've got live staff chat, AI only chatbot, both of them if you know you want both. Cool, like what services are you interested in? You know, the vast majority of people are saying, I want just virtual receptionist. Then the next most are saying, you know, I'm interested in both. And that actually can trigger another playbook if this one has ended, or the live chat agent actually steps in and says, you know, to take that conversation forward, maybe can I get you on the phone with a sales executive to discuss your virtual receptionist needs. It's very different if someone is looking to work with our company as a receptionist or live chat agent. So if they selected the second option, which is the majority here, we have a lot of hiring that we're doing right now, always in fact. Then the next question is, you know, do you have any questions, or are you ready to apply? Great. How strongly interested are you? How ready are you? Let's get that indicator up front. And you can imagine this working for leads. You can even imagine it working for clients who might have, in a, you know, typical business scenario, maybe it's a plumber who is the business, and is it an emergency plumbing situation, or is it just I'm looking to, you know, upgrade my toilet in the master bathroom, whatever it is, right? So that's not an emergency. Maybe you have indicators of urgency here. Similarly, how we do for the receptionist readiness to apply for a job with our company. And we can see, you know, over 50% are saying I'm ready to apply. And then there's a statement, there's just a few questions, and then confirmation, can we get started? And not just a yes or no, but yes, I'm on a laptop, or no, I'm on my phone or tablet. So what happens is it actually blocks the conversation from moving forward if you're on your phone or tablet. Now, if you're on your laptop or desktop computer, you can move forward. And let's say they want to be a phone receptionist, so this is actually over, and that's why it failed to load the funnel. You would select one of these options, and then there's a next playbook that begins, which is for the chat applicant qualification trigger, which is for this one selected chat receptionist. Now, this is very interesting because you can actually modify and move around the steps of the funnel. So perhaps if chat receptionist is the most popular one, we would come in here and say, maybe this needs to be ranked first and phone receptionist should be ranked second so that the most popular option is on top. You could imagine if your business does multiple things or you really want to push a new service, you could mention that service early on, or you could even have a statement that says, great, you're ready to apply. By the way, did you hear that we also have, phone receptionist jobs or chat receptionist jobs, or we also have, texting receptionist jobs. It's not a different feature here or job title, but it could be. You can imagine the number of variations. So this is a really powerful tool to say, how well is my playbook working? Now, if we look at some of the other features here, something that's interesting is the integrations. Now, this is, a small set of the integrations that are available for Smith.ai as a company. These are just the direct native integrations. And then there's Zapier, of course, which opens up a wide world of integrations. The first one is free for live chat accounts, and for AI chatbot accounts, there are other options that you can explore. The interesting thing is that we have a feature request option here. If you don't see one that you like, if you're not going to use Zapier, we take customer feedback extremely seriously, partner feedback extremely seriously, and a lot of these are driven by, in fact, all of them are driven by customer request. So if we continue to say, okay, I understand that there are integrations, and what does this really mean? It means that there are conversations that are happening, just like phone calls, and they need to get logged somewhere. Right now, of course, we're going to email you. We can, send chat transcripts to your inbox, and you can read the entire thing in there. But what's really valuable actually is to have the entire conversation along with the contact that we captured, that name, email, phone number, and more information, into your CRM. So as soon as the conversation is over, you see it in Clio, in Salesforce, in HubSpot, etc. Can be put pretty much anywhere. When you've got Zapier connected, you can take that conversation and log it as an activity under that new contact. And if we just schedule the sales conversation with you, a consultation, then you've got that at the ready to review and prepare and win that new sale based on the information that was provided up front in that conversation. Now, what we see is, these chats are happening for much longer than a call would take place. So the information is really rich and robust. It helps those sales conversations because people can share a lot more information without taking up time on the phone, which typically consumes, your entire being for that conversation. Now, if you're chatting in, you can multitask. You can, pet your dog at the same time, and then you can, be watching over your kid, and then you can still chat in. So it's really nice to not consume all of your attention and to have a lot of time saved when the information is passed into your CRM, your business management system. We also can connect in online calendaring links for scheduling, payment links, so that when someone is chatting in, you can include a payment link. They click over to it, enter their payment information securely, and potentially just provide the payment confirmation number to confirm that they did pay. For example, if you charge for consultations, or if some payment is required to move forward in the sales or conversion process. So that's a really robust aspect of Smith.ai. Another thing that I will highlight is there is an option here for indicating the disposition, the department, the channel of the chat itself. And I skipped past this before and I want to mention it now. So the disposition can be not relevant, relevant. The disposition reason can be, spam, sales, wrong chat, incomplete test. This is the test. System notification, or it was inappropriate. these are all the ways that we can indicate that the chat is going to be not relevant. This is the answer to the question, why? You've marked it not relevant. Well, you have to report why. So when we have live agents who are answering chats, and a model for pricing that is based on only charging for relevant chats, where we capture name, contact information, and intent. If that intent doesn't match any sort of indicator of relevance for that business owner, such as a spam chat, some online troll, or someone who got the number, or who contacted, Joe's computer repair and is asking when the new Apple iPhone is coming out, that's really not relevant. So that's something that we see a lot of value in for the clients. You can imagine you don't want those chats mucking up your sales funnel, so those are the ones that you're not going to follow up with. Those are the ones that Smith.ai does not charge you for. And that also means that you can test your chat anytime and encourage others to do so, and just tell them to mark the chat a test, and it's not a fee for you, especially when you're iterating and trying things like these playbooks. You can do that yourself. The Smith.ai team can help with that as well. So let's talk about just a couple last things, and then I will wrap up. One thing that's really interesting, a unique feature, is setting custom hours for Smith.ai chat. And this basically means that, look, if you have people who are going to be answering these chats on your staff, then they have a 9-to-5 workday, or they have limited hours. And what Smith.ai has done is to say, look, we understand that you might have Zendesk, or you might have another tool that allows you to staff those chats self-service during the day, but you don't want to miss the nights and weekends. You don't want to miss chats because someone's out of the office, and you don't want them to be playing the game of, do I have to be stuck to my desk because I'm in charge of chats at this time, or can I go do something that's more important? Or just, I'm getting stuck answering chats all day long and I need to take a break, or this is clearly not the highest and best use of my time. So that's a really nice feature. Maybe you have a holiday that's coming up, or a break. It's very easy to include that code and then to set the timing so that it works with your time zone. So the other thing that I want to share is a long help doc. So chat API documentation, the really nice thing is we can extend data for UTM parameters. We can expose the chat widget to new website visitors, meaning new leads only. We can include timestamps and additional contact information. There is a lot that can be done with chat to provide you with more data. If you're using UTM parameters, you don't want it to get lost in the chat widget itself. So this is an area where, Smith.ai, for example, you can connect Google Analytics to chat. You can create events and triggers off of the different activities, such as the conversation is started or closed. You might see that there is a correlation between chats that are occurring and conversions on the website. And you might even know, is that chat happening in addition to, at a higher volume than the calls that were coming through, which is a really interesting case study that Matt Burke at Zillametrics shared. He saw a huge surge in chats that were basically net new leads. A lot of people don't realize that even if you have a phone number, maybe you say that it's text enabled, there's still people who want to chat in. There are still people who are going to visit your business page after someone refers them in some recommendation thread on Facebook, and they want to have that conversation. So wherever the conversation is taking place, if you can connect up Google Analytics, if you have an event trigger or a goal associated with that event, you can capture that conversion or milestone towards a conversion, which is very powerful. Two last things that are really interesting about Smith.ai. So within the chat itself, And this is relevant to Q&A. It's also relevant to the conversation itself. We have real-time English-Spanish translation. Okay, so let's go through this scenario. We've got real-time English and Spanish translation, which is another really awesome feature. Basically, imagine that in this chat, there is a Spanish language website visitor and an English-speaking live chat agent. Then you can actually have Smith.ai technology real-time translate English to Spanish and Spanish to English. So if you have someone who indicates, they have a Spanish preference, they can write in Spanish. They may do that by default. Maybe it's an immigration law firm or it's a business where that person might actually be used to conversing in Spanish with that business, and they visit the website. The website might also have translation and it might be in Spanish. If they chat in, an English-speaking agent can actually translate their Spanish chats in English for them and then respond in English, and that's automatically translated back to Spanish for the chatter, and it goes back and forth. So that's extremely powerful. It allows for a really natural flow of the conversation without someone needing to hand off the chat, allocation of different agents. It's also, very prompt and helpful to allow for that natural language preference and not force someone to speak English if that's not what they're most comfortable with. It's just another element of client service. The other thing that's important to note about these conversations is that there can be a phone call that is triggered. There can be a request that is sent to Slack, for example, or sent to it as a text message. And what's really cool is that can be a trigger to the virtual receptionist at Smith.ai. And as a result, you have an entire workflow of this conversation just happened on chat. Your receptionists are going to actually make that call back for you. Perhaps the lead said, can I get someone on the phone right now? You have the ability to have Smith.ai say, yes, I'll get on the phone with you, or I've just scheduled a sales consultation for 15 minutes from now. Can you be reached at this number, basically? Send the invitation, get them on the phone, and if it's not for Smith.ai, maybe it's an intake and scheduling for a receptionist, a callback is put into the immediate queue, and someone on the receptionist team is going to make that call and say, go through the motions with the sales conversion process and have it so that you basically just had a chat. This person came from an online search, maybe a referral. They said, look, this is too complicated for me to go into chat right now, or I'm getting in the car, can you call me, right? Like they're on the move. They're using their mobile device. They started a chat and they're like, shoot, I have to get over to this appointment or go pick up my son from daycare or whatever. They can actually have a callback outbound request for them. The receptionist can make an outbound call to them and say, great, happy to continue this conversation, or the business owner can do that if they're available, and then take that conversation on. Are they a good fit for the business? You can screen them, schedule them for the full conversation. Maybe it's a Zoom call that you end up scheduling, and that is then secured for that business. So that ability to switch channels is also extremely powerful. You always have the option to, change and transfer to that phone call where, the relationship is further developed. Although I will say this, the chat conversations that happen are really incredibly powerful, and they can be personal, and from a live chat agent perspective, that personality is something that is very empowering for them that Smith.ai enables. So we can talk about technology all day long, but the human condition of finding a place to relate in these conversations is also an aspect that people have said to us who have used other chat solutions that totally distinguishes us from the rest. And what I mean is, as an example, if someone is messaging into a law firm and they say, you know, I am really in distress, I've decided I need a divorce. They contacted a family law firm, they're in the right place. Almost every other chat service that we have seen and tested ourselves is going to say, okay, I can schedule you for a consultation. Now, Smith.ai, because we hire people who have high EQ, emotional intelligence, they're going to first say, I'm so sorry that you're going through that, or, you know, you're in the right place. Like, we do, you know, help individuals like you with, you know, moving through a divorce, something that is affirmative and comforting and human, because here we are, live chat agents. We're not just going to go through the motions unless that's what the business is asking us to do. Most of the time, our clients remark that that human element, that personality that comes through, really sets apart that conversation, not just for the business owner, because it's a nice experience to see that your clients are being treated well, but the clients themselves will go back to the business owner and say, look, you were the most, you know, thoughtful, you were prompt to respond, you had the chat, and then I was wowed by the experience that I got and sort of the individual attention that I received as just a random person chatting in, and they made me feel like I was in the right place. And that's why people hire certain businesses over others. It's about the prompt response. It's about the individual nature of the response. Answering accurately and efficiently is critical. So yes, the technology is extremely important. It's effective. It is consistent. It works with all of your systems. But knowing that it is backed by the sympathetic and friendly and really helpful live chat agents, programmatically, that tone built into the AI chatbot portion of the Q&A and the playbooks, that tone persists throughout. And to me, that combined with the technology is extremely effective. There's no more effective solution than this on the market today. So I hope that this was helpful to you. I would be happy to answer questions. And of course, there are many others on our team who can answer questions. But I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, whatever time it is for you, and take care. I will talk to you soon.